How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's exciting.
I know, it's so exciting. I'm going to turn off commenting for a minute so that we can see
Okay.
your lovely, lovely face. Just like, usually it's like just comments and you just covers your face. How are you, friends?
Great. I put on a good sweater just for you.
Oh, thank you. I know, like I put on
Yeah,
makeup today for you. So it's quarantine. Why do we
thank
do
you.
this? All right, guys. So today so this is Erman. Am I saying your name correctly? Erman?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Because I
Yeah.
definitely earlier was like Erman. Like an ermine stole or
When?
something. I don't know what that was about. This is
First off, what? Secondly, what's an Erman stole? I never even
so
heard of it.
like ermine or ermine, I guess is how you would say, is like a fur, a type of fur.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and we don't want
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So anyway, let me read what I wrote about you because I'm so excited. So you're a writer and a
Yes.
producer who you use your networking skills to like meet and work with Hollywood's top creators. So what I see you doing is consistently producing events that have included, you guys, top casting directors, showrunners, writers, network presidents. That's amazing. Music producers, managers, directors, editors, all sorts of people. And so the key question is, how did you do this? And we're going to find out about that right now. Um, so,
White lies. It was white
all
lies.
white lies, right? So this is the first time we're meeting kind of in person, which is
Yeah.
odd because we're both not from Virginia Beach, but we lived there at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we never met in person then. At least I can't remember if we did. But
I don't even know how you look like, to be honest with you, until now.
there you go. Here I am. It's cool.
No, we're Facebook friends too.
Yeah, we are Facebook friends.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I have watched you grow your business over the past several years into producing all these amazing things. And I wanted to bring you on because I felt like that one of the things that I am most passionate about that nobody seems to care about is networking and
Yeah.
and that it's not a bad word, that it's a good thing, that it's
Yeah, yeah.
sharing who you are, right? You're not like being sleazy and only asking. You're giving before you ask.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of talk to you about that because I just thought you're such a master at that, and to be able to get all these really well-known people to say yes to you and all that stuff, I just think it's such a cool skill. So that's why I wanted to bring you on. But I also want to mention here up top that for those of you guys who are watching live, that if you want to ask questions, this is a totally like a conversation between all of us. So if you guys have questions, because I have comments turned off, you can just click the little question card next to the comments, and I'll see that those pop up, and we will answer
There's a
those.
question card?
There is a question card. There should be.
I
Yeah.
know I'm still learning.
Oh, wow.
I've
Yeah.
I've done more Zoom sessions than I've done IG Live.
Yeah.
So I don't this is new to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So people can like do a little question card, and then I can pull it up. And it's
Interesting.
cool because it pops up, but then I have to turn commenting back on to take it out. It's just a mess. It's not working
Yeah.
correctly, but it is pretty cool. So if you guys have questions for him as we're talking, or thoughts, or or if you're like, yes, amen, give him lots of hearts, shoot us some questions.
I want to see a lot of hearts, guys.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so let's start at the beginning because I don't like know you. I want to sort of hear what it was like for you at the beginning and how you got started and kind of what that story is, because you mentioned to me that you used to be incredibly shy, and so kind
Right.
of talk me a little bit through that.
Oh man. Yeah. So if you want to go way, way, way back to Virginia, so way back to the beginning, I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I think that's where we connected virtually at first.
Yeah.
So I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and so I was in middle school I went to middle school at Kemp's Landing Middle School, which I don't know if you've heard of.
I totally know where that is. Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
But you act like you did.
No, I
But
totally
no, no. So it was like a smart person school, right? So I think that was where I developed my writing skills. And to be honest with you, I wasn't great academically, but what I did realize was how much I liked writing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of I already knew I was in that creative side of things early on. And so while like my other grades are like dropping in like math and science, stuff that doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
No, but like I felt like my writing was developing at the time. And so my teachers noticed it too, and they're like, well, even though you're kind of not really good at this stuff, there is something you are good at. So from there, I already knew that I was interested in the arts. And what's funny to me, and this is what I tell a lot of people in my interviews, was that like in the early 2000s when I was in middle school, kind of had I was like I caught the acting bug. I wanted to act, so I wanted to take theater and stuff like that. But at the time, there wasn't like a lot of Asians on TV, so I was
Mm.
like, oh wait. So I thought it wasn't for us, you know.
Yeah.
So I just took up writing, and like instead of taking theater, I went to like I took a violin, which I wasn't good at all, you know,
Because you're like,
not at
that's
all.
what Asian people do, is they take up the violin.
Exactly, that's what I thought in my head. That's like okay, that's why I thought that's just why I thought we belonged when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So over those years, I just developed writing, and I was like a little shy. So if I took theater, it would have been my platform to like get out of that shyness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's just how I was. So I kind of like live in that world of writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So developing your characters, developing your using imagination to kind of just get away from the real world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So high school happened. I was on a track to become to be into medicine, and then
Because that's
I
the
was
other
like, yeah,
thing,
this ain't
right? It's
happening.
like, that's the
The
other
other
thing,
thing,
right?
right?
Doctors. Yeah.
You're either in orchestra or you're in
Yeah.
medicine. But no, at the time, like I realized that wasn't for me. So I was even more creative during those times. So eventually went to film school in Virginia Beach. Um, when I was there, what's funny, when I was there, I was like so happy I was there. But then 4 years went by and I was like, yo, I didn't really learn much.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happened was, not saying that they did a bad job, it
Right.
was just that the time period I went to film school, and the film school I went to, a lot of it was very hierarchical.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of the film students that were more popular, they were doing the same things. Like they always directed, they always wrote, and the other people were like, well,
Yeah.
what do I do? So I was always like a grip, and like I was always a grip, and I would hang out at craft services the entire set.
Right. Right. Right.
So like, for me, it's like, well, if you want me to be a grip, I'll be a grip my whole life. But I don't know. I'm not developing any other skills here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so you know that phrase? I think it was Tarantino. He said he didn't go to film school. He went to film. So for
Yeah.
me, after I graduated, not was still not knowing much about the industry, I kind of just I applied to an internship. So in 2012, I went to it's called Mosaic Media Group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's West Hollywood. So they produce a lot of like comedies, and they represent a lot of the comedic actors like Adam Sandberg, Andy Sandberg, Will Ferrell at the time. I think Jim Carrey at the time. So like all these really high end actors, right? They would manage them. So I spent 2 months there, came back to Virginia Beach, and at the time I was like, okay, what do I do now? Like I have 2 months of internship under my belt in Hollywood. I need to keep the momentum going. So what I did was I created a social media name, Erman LA. And so I thought it was catchy
Mm-hmm.
at first,
Mm-hmm.
but then it ended up being strategy, which is really cool. So people started to think I lived in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So I would talk to all these people in the industry on Twitter and Instagram, just regular chit chat, nothing like serious,
Mm-hmm.
just writers talking to fellow writers. And so it caught attention of organizations who threw events in LA. And so eventually they were like, hey, Erman, like they DM'd me, like, hey, Erman, you want to do stuff for us during the summer? I was like, yeah, sure. They're like, hey, which part of LA are you from? I was like, I'm not from. I didn't tell them at first. I was just like,
Right.
it's one of those things where you take the gig before learning how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was in the position to gather executives in the industry to attend these events, these conferences. And so
Kind of
I flew to LA.
in the name of the company that you were working under.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, and this is for one company, and then other companies would kind of hop on that and be like, hey, you want to help us with this and that? And I'm like, I'm not from, okay, fine, I can do it remotely, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of just played along the entire time. And so, so that as that was happening, I was developing connections with agents, managers, publicists, even like entertainment lawyers for any reason whatsoever. So I was like a Rolodex just building up, right? During that time, during the time I was doing other people's events, I applied to a digital magazine. So I applied to a gig pro bono where I would interview celebrities and musicians, actors to write articles about them for the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just applied to it. They said, "Cool, let's have you on board." I literally spent like my last $5 to buy Rolling Stone just to figure out how to write an article, you know. So it was another white lie. Get the gig before you learn it.
Yeah.
So like I said, so during that time I was in contact with those agents and reps and publicists, because of their clients, want to be in the magazine. So on one side I had events, on the other side I had a magazine that I wrote for. So both of them had me creating connections with these contacts in the industry. So eventually I was like, you know what, I can just do it myself. Let me do these events myself.
Yeah.
So I created an event series in which I would have guest speakers in the industry come to the event, network with the attendees, speak at them. And so over time I was like, yo, I'm getting some really big people. I don't know how I'm doing this. Like, they just happen to be saying yes. And I think what it was, I think the factor there that really intrigued them about what I was doing was, I didn't live in LA. Eventually they got that. And they're like, well, you're producing these really, really great events remotely from Virginia Beach. So I would fly in on my own dime to LA back and forth to host them, you know? So that was one thing. But B, like, I didn't come across as like a writer who wanted to like get to know them for those reasons.
Right.
It was just
Right.
some guy who wanted to throw events. So my trick was to tell them I wrote after the fact, you know? So I wanted to build a connection first before telling them, hey, I want to be in the industry. So I think that they really appreciate that. A third thing was, I didn't come across as like an organization trying to take people's money through tickets.
Yeah.
I'm just like some guy. I'm a fellow writer, fellow creative who's trying to host this for other people, trying to make it, you know. Because I think that's what people like see about me, is that I'm still some guy trying to make it too. I'm not like pretending to be higher than I actually am.
Yeah.
So as a writer, as someone who's trying to produce or something, I do a little bit acting too on the side, but like I think people relate to that, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then in 2016, as I was turning, I think I was turning 26. As I was turning 26, the Huffington Post did the article on me. So top network in Hollywood is what they called me, and I was like, yo, this is really cool. I
You're
didn't
like,
see it coming.
yes, I will take that that
I was
title, absolutely.
yeah. What's funny? But what happened was they sent me the person who wrote it sent me questions, and I didn't know what the article was going to be called. You know, I didn't know the subject line. He sent me questions. I answered them. My friend who's a publicist who got me the interview, he's like, hey, look at your Facebook. I was like, yeah, sure, because he tagged me in a post. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, this is a huge title.
Yeah.
I didn't
You're
like,
like,
I didn't expect it like that.
do I live up to this title? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, I'll take it, whatever.
yeah.
So I took it and I rolled with it, and it helped me, like, for the last 4 years, helped me evolve my brand and also to make more connections. And you know, right now, like, me and my manager and I, we're talking about like putting together a pitch deck, because I've just finished writing a pilot, and we're gonna send the pitch. We're gonna send the pitch deck to like the people we know from our past events,
Yeah.
so guest speakers I've had in the past. Because the 2020, before this whole thing happened, my goal was to utilize those connections I made to create content. You know, those networks, the production companies, the all those big studios. I want to use my connections to reach out to them. Hey, you know, I think the time's right to finally pull the trigger and send you my material.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I mean, like I said, I built it's through the years I built those connections. It wasn't just like right away. I think that's the part that people forget, is that
It's long
if I was an
term.
executive,
Yeah.
it's long term. If I was an executive or even an agent or manager, and someone DMs me and they're like, "Hey, can you manage me or rep me?"
No,
like,
I don't know you. That's
I don't know, and
Yeah.
you come across as super green.
Yeah.
They miss that part. They miss that factor. You know.
Yeah.
It's like they don't realize that they come across as super green when they just DM people without developing a relationship. So
Yeah. So when you were kind of working for those companies where you were like producing events for them before you launched out on your own, did they give you any sort of like template of like, this is kind of what we want you to say? Or were they just like, go and figure it out, get these people to say yes? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, so
I'm really curious, like how, because I think people are afraid of networking because they feel like it's salesy and gross. And if they can get over that fear and go, okay, cool, I have something to offer, I want connection, I have whatever, they often don't know what to say, right? Like they physically don't know like what sentence to use to reach out to people. And I'm curious, like how did you develop that skill? Because like I'm developing that right now. I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff about like copywriting and all that, and I'm just a natural connector anyway, so it's a little easier for me. But for those who aren't, who are watching, you know, how did you develop that?
So they sent me a template to use in emails.
Nice.
But then when I looked at the template, it was fine as it was, and they've had experience doing events before, so and connecting to executives. So I was like, yeah, you don't want to. What's the phrase? Fix something that's not broken.
Yeah, don't like,
Like,
or don't
yeah,
reinvent the wheel or whatever. Yeah.
exactly. So they gave me template to use to reach out to these executives, but something that I added in myself was like something that related to them specifically. So if it was like hypothetically speaking, what's a company like Fox, for example? Say it was Fox or NBC.
Yeah.
If they wanted me to reach out to somebody there, I would be like, "Hey, executive, blah blah blah," and like then mention something about the show or their programs that I like, you know.
Yeah.
So I really liked, I really liked the premiere of whatever show, and so it kind of it showed that you actually cared about those folks and not just like copy and pasting,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So and I think a lot of people. Oh, that's another thing. A lot of people like to reach out to casting directors. But I think people like to reach out to casting directors and managers and agents, and they're like, and it sounds just super generic. Like they didn't take the time to research that company, you know.
Right.
So I think that's something that people have to really focus on,
Yeah.
is not sounding like you literally copied and pasted your emails and sent to 100 people
Right.
on a list.
Right.
You know?
So warm them up a little bit, right? With something that is specifically to them, complimenting them about something, and then
Exactly. Yeah.
and then maybe even going as far as like, this is what we're doing and here's why we think you would be a good fit for said event or whatever. It's kind of like what I did with you, right? Like you guys, okay, I'm gonna like a little story time because I wanna brag on Erman for a second. I was certain when I DM'd you a couple weeks ago that you weren't gonna get back to me because I was like, he's like so busy. I know he's got a lot on his plate. I really want to talk about this topic, but whatever. So when I reached out to you, I was like, I want to remind him that we kind of know each other because I guarantee he's never thought about my name since moving here. And two, I wanted to honestly compliment you on what you do because I think what you do is amazing. And then three, talk about what it is I'm trying to do during the quarantine and then ask if you want to be a part of it. And I was going to be totally fine with one of a couple of things happening. I was going to be fine with you with not replying. I was going to be fine with you saying no. I was going to be fine with you saying yes, but not right now because I'm so busy. And I was going to be absolutely thrilled if you said yes, which is what you did several hours later. And I was shocked.
Now, at least I didn't leave you on red.
Right, exactly. Which I think is another big thing that people miss, that when you're connecting with people, that it's my husband walking by right behind me. When you're connecting and you're reaching out to people, I can always tell who the professionals are, who will like write me back within, a couple of hours or like within at least that day, which you absolutely did. And I was, when I got your yes, I was like, I threw my phone up and I was like, he said yes. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
Hey, disclaimer to anyone listening. This is the honest facts. I don't care if you have a blog that has one person reading it. If you ask me for an interview, I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's only good for you, right? Like, it's great for us, but it's also really good for you.
And also, I mean, if in any way it uplifts your own company, your startup, I'm all for it. I don't care. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Absolutely. I was also like, one of the lessons I've learned over the past couple of weeks, which I feel like you have nailed, is this idea that do the asking, reach out, don't be afraid. Because if you don't it's like that Wayne Gretzky quote, if you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, the worst that's going to happen if you reaching out is that they aren't going to reply or they're going to say no, which puts you in the same position you're already in. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But there are actual real people behind the names of like what you are putting up in your mind as these people who are so far above you. Like you said, you were a little nervous to reach out. I can't believe these people are saying yes, but they're real people who want to give back. They want to educate. They want to be involved. But you have to do it in a smart, respectful way, which I think is what you're so good at.
And it's one of those things too also where if this sounds so, if they say no, there's hundreds of other people in the industry who will say yes, or who will at least respond to you.
Yeah.
And but also on that same note, before I forget, if you email somebody in the industry, keep in mind they'll research you before they reply to you. Mm-hmm. So make sure your social media is up to par with what you want to, how you want to represent yourself.
Yeah.
So like, Rock, you're real. I wasn't just gonna blindly say yes. I was gonna check your page
Sure. Yeah.
when you reached out to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I was gonna make sure that whoever you have speak, like who you had speaking in the past, were like people that would align with.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. I have, by the way, like all sorts of fun questions to ask you. It's so exciting.
I like questions.
So what do you feel like is, if we were to give people like the top 3 strategies, and we can just make these up as we go, the top 3 strategies that
Good.
sort of
Good.
how
I'm prepared for this.
no, it's fine, it's fine. And I'm totally down to like work this out with you in real time, but like the top 3 things that somebody could, like skills that they could start to work on, because this is a skill that, like, I don't know if you would agree with this, that this feels like a skill that you're not just going to be intrinsically good at, right? Like like it's a thing you can learn to do, right? To properly reach out to people, right?
Yeah.
Like you learned by getting that template and then making it your own, and by doing it over and over and over again, right?
Hopefully you agree with this,
Okay.
and I don't want to sound messed up, but personality does factor into the way people react to you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of writers are shy.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of actors can be shy until they are on, until they hit the stage and they're like, oh, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
Personalities play into how people respond to you.
Yeah.
So and I had to learn that too. Like I said, I used to be shy.
Yeah.
So when you're on the phone with me at the time, you can tell that, you can sense that.
Yeah.
You know? So and for like us talking, like I'm conversing with you for the first time.
Yeah.
I already know that I eventually want to work with you in some capacity, just because of your personality.
That's gonna happen for sure.
You know?
yeah.
So I mean, of course, you can't just easily say I'm a developed personality and wham, like it's gonna happen to me.
Right.
Over time, it's just you gotta be more personable. Break out of that shell. I've been to a lot of events, networking events, mixers, where people are in the corner, like away from me. Like first off, you showed up, great.
Yeah.
But you got there and are wasting your time because you're literally in the corner doing nothing, talking to nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I know like some people are just they have anxiety, social anxieties, and it's something to get over time. It's not gonna you're not gonna get over that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But do try to develop that personality, because that is a factor.
Right.
When people want to work with you, would you rather work with someone you get along with, who's super friendly?
Yeah.
Or the most skilled cinematographer ever, but his social skills are like you try to talk to him, you're trying to talk to him on set and you get nothing from him. Like who would you rather work with?
Yeah, it's a quality of life issue at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's who do you want to spend 12 hours a day with? I would say, to add to that, it's not even about changing your personality. It's more, I feel like, if you're super shy and you can use that to your advantage, if you can kind of connect with one person rather than connecting with a whole room, make it your job at first to connect with that one person. If you are a social butterfly, like one of my producing partners, it is very easy for her to just talk to everybody in the room, and by the end of the thing, everybody in the room is her friend. I'm somewhere in the middle where I like meeting, several key people, and I like even connecting those people. But these are skills that I had to learn over time, and I learned them by getting comfortable, getting real easily friendly with one person at a time, and then you break it into 2, and then you break it into 3. So it's not like this impossible task. I know for some people watching this, they're going to be like, I could never talk to a whole room of people. You're probably right now, but we can work on that skill. And working on that skill married with the skill of reaching out via emails and DMs and social media, I think those 2 things will get you further faster in the entertainment industry, because the more people who know who you are, the more they can hire you, right?
Right.
These actors
these
actors get so hung up on like having the most perfect headshot and the most perfect reel, and having the most like fabulous website, but they don't spend any time trying to connect with anybody, whether it's just regular like straight up actors laterally, or if they're trying to like make any connections, like with writers or directors that they admire or whatever. And then they're like totally befuddled as to why they're not moving forward in their career, why they're not getting in rooms, why writers aren't getting, read. And it's like, well, who knows who you are? If nobody knows who you are, they can't hire you, and they want to hire you. That's why I feel very passionate about this subject.
You know what's funny? On that same note, hopefully I'm not interrupting your train of thought. But on that same note, you know how before, like, I don't say before, but like, people on social media would think image is everything in terms of like, they have to look like they have the nicest car. They have to look like they're on like all the red carpets. I think people right nowadays are more about the humble brags than anything. So like I personally know a lot of casting directors who straight up say, hey, if your social media looks like you're just trying to look like you're the shit. Can I cuss?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Cool. You're trying to look like you're the shit, and you're on like all your pictures are red carpets pictures of movies that you snuck on the red carpet of. They're gonna know. They're gonna know that it's just it's glossy.
Well, also,
you want the real you.
Right. You want people connect with genuineness. Is that a word? Genuineness. They
authenticity.
Authenticity. Yeah, they connect with with your authentic self. So if you are outgoing and loud like me, actually I'm not outgoing, I'm actually an introvert, but I like to expel that on people. But if if it's easier for you to connect, then let us see that in the content that you're putting out. If you're a little shyer, that's cool. We will still connect with you as long as you're being real with us and you talk about it. You're not trying to do what you said, which is like put up a front, right? So, okay, so if we were going to come up with like the top 3 things that somebody could work on, I think the first one would be like working on in-person networking skills. And so let's talk about that for a second. Let's deep dive because you produce these amazing panels and every time they're on times where I can't come to them, which always makes me so sad because I'm always shooting stuff.
Bad.
No, it's fine.
Next time I'll work around your schedule.
But you produce these panels where you have, panelists come in and talk. And then I'm guessing like there's a mixer afterwards most of the time. So what are some things that you see successful people doing in those mixers? Like how do you cause you watch and you're seeing like,
I do. I like to observe.
You like to observe. So what are the people who are doing well at those mixers? What are they doing?
Okay. So to go off of what you're saying, so what I like to, in case you're meeting me for the first time, folks, I produce I like to call it a fusion of panel and parties. So sometimes you go to a panel event and it's super boring. It's just like it feels like a really boring town hall meeting, super dry. What we do is we add an element of a mixer or a party sometimes, but it's a social gathering and you're connecting with these speakers on a different level than like, let me hear them speak and then bye. It's like, think of it having a cocktail with an executive, and it's just super chill, super relaxed, low stress environment, but you're connecting with them after you hear them talk about the careers and answer your questions that you have as a audience member.
Yeah.
And so when I observe these folks, after people speak and then you have a rush of people, a wave of people just rushing the stage.
Yeah.
Like those first few people, you're setting a bad impression because it's like I just got the stage and you're already rushing me. It's like chill. Yeah. It gives the speakers anxieties,
Yeah. Because those people are equally shy and equally awkward too. Like that's the thing I think that people don't get is even like, Bob Iger, the former, still kind of CEO of Disney, like even he's going to be a little like, overwhelmed. And, it's not like they're perfect people. So just know that, but keep going.
The scene in The Room, not The Room. What's the James Franco movie that was based on The Room?
Oh, my husband would know. I don't remember.
I forgot.
Yeah.
But you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know that scene where he comes in and the producer's eating dinner with his girl, his wife, and he auditions for him run this like as he's eating dinner, like stuff like that. It's like when people rush you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's common sense, but it's so bad.
Yeah.
Like even so at my events, what I'm getting at is at my events when they rush you, it's like you see people standing in the back who are like patient and waiting for them. to finish what they're doing before they approach them in a kind manner. Like I had an event one time in Virginia
Mm-hmm.
where someone came in the middle of a conversation with a printed out script that was badly stapled together.
Mm.
I was like, hey, I have a script. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Like you could have the best writing. It could have been the best script ever.
Yeah.
But if you approach somebody like that, they're not gonna take it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so what I like is like so going back to my events, I like to see people naturally, organically get into a conversation with them
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to rush the stage.
Yeah.
Because that's just better etiquette. Etiquette is a lot.
Yeah.
Etiquette means a lot.
Yeah. I think, so I remember one event that my husband and I went to a couple years ago, the podcast script notes. They had like these panels with these people, and then we paid extra to like be a part of the cocktail party afterwards, so you could like meet them and talk to them. And the one person I for sure wanted to talk to was Lisa Joy, who is the husband, the wife.
Ooh.
You know who that is?
Wife, yeah.
She's the wife of
Jonathan
Nolan, and they do Westworld. And so I did exactly what you're talking about. I sort of hung back. I chatted with some other people, some other panelists, some other like event attendees and stuff. Yeah. And then I saw like her little group of people who were talking to her sort of dissipated. So I sort of walked over and introduced myself, and we chatted. I don't even remember how I kind of got started, but I just chatted with her about, because she had talked about what it's like to sort of produce a TV show with her husband and having kids and how they balance that. And so I just kind of asked a question. I like thought of my question ahead of time. Like, what would be the most important thing I would want to know from her if this is the only time I'll ever talk to her? And I asked her a question about like how her and her husband work together and how they make that work, and you know, that kind of thing. And we talked a little bit about her kid, and I like made a joke, and she laughed. She's like, it's like, you know, my kid. And it was short and sweet and memorable, but not overly so. And I wasn't trying to sell her anything. I just like wanted to compliment her. It's the things that you would do in an email or a DM are kind of the same things I feel like you could do in person. Where you,
exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you're warming them up. You say, oh my gosh, I love this, this, and this that you've done. It impacted me in this way. Like that was my experience with her. My husband instead went and talked to her husband. My husband talked to her husband, and he like, all he wanted to say to Jonathan, it's hilarious because my husband's name is Jonathan as well. So Jonathan wanted to say to Jonathan, by the way, my favorite movie is Interstellar, and it means a lot to me because it was one of the movies that I connected with my dad over. And they had a beautiful conversation about that because he was coming at it from, I want to thank you for what you're doing and what you've brought to the world. Yeah. And I think that's way more meaningful than being like, hi, my name's Melissa. Do you want to buy my script? That's like going up to somebody, some stranger, and asking them if they want to marry you, right? Like, so yeah. So the people that you've watched that have been successful are those who hang back, and they approach in a respectful way.
Exactly.
And
one time, and this is like I guess you can say it's like a testimonial. So I'm not gonna say who it is, but my best testimonial so far is I did a music industry event 2 years ago, and we had folks from like, I forget companies, but we had speakers from like Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z's music company. We had speakers from like different agencies that have music in addition to talent. So anyway, somebody who went to my event for the very first time that day didn't know what to expect. She did what you did. She hung back a little bit, then approached. Mm-hmm. At the end of the conversation, she walked away with a scheduled meeting with Rock Nation for a potential job. Yeah. And maybe a month later, she got it. So that was like cool to see that someone who came for the first time walked away with a job interview. Yeah. After my event, because she was smart about it. She didn't rush the stage. Yeah. She let the conversation organically happen. Yeah. And so she's really like, it was a cool thing to see. But she was smart about it.
I wonder if part of the success of that was not talking too much, right? Like it's like going into conversation with somebody, and after you compliment them, and after you ask them a question, like let them talk and don't be overexcited. Yeah. When I get overexcited, I tend to, I like to have verbal diarrhea. I just I just can't help myself. And I've really had to learn how to tamp that shit down because I get overexcited and I'm excited, I'm excited to talk to them. And
You have a bubbly personality. Like
I do. Yeah.
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 This is how you are naturally.
Yeah. I also had to learn how not to dim what I am. How to be
That's something I'm learning too.
Right? Like how to be exactly who we are, because who we are is enough.
Yeah.
But you also want
I love that.
Right?
I love that because sorry to interrupt again, but like literally because you on the graphic you posted about me, you're like the number one way to break. And for me, I told people, hey, tune in, check it out.
Yeah.
But I told them I kind of diluted myself and said, hey, like I'm nobody, but please tune in anyway. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like you created something that no one has.
Yeah.
That is super beneficial to people trying to break in, or at least make connections. Yeah. And so they're like, yo, own it. So something I gotta learn too is owning it, because I like to dilute myself.
Ooh, I almost gave you a DM lecture when you wrote me back and you were like, I don't know how I feel about this title. I'm like, Erman, come on. You are so good at this and you have built something and you should be proud of it. And you, as long as you know a couple things more than the person you're teaching, you're good, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So, okay, so strategy number 1, work on the in-person networking skills, and also pair with that, I think, going to events like yours. Because I think one of the biggest things actors in particular, or writers or whatever, we have a trouble with is like, I want to connect with people, but I don't know where to find them.
Yeah. And it was funny to me, a lot of times people will be like, what do I get out of it? First off, here's the thing. I must be super blunt with everybody. When people put together events like this, the speakers who are attending, on a normal day, they're not going to talk to you. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You're not going to meet them in a coffee shop.
Because they're too busy. They're actually
too busy.
Working 12 hours on that set, or 12 hours.
So we're putting them in the room for you.
Yeah.
We're putting them in the room for you.
Yeah.
So you might as well attend them, because that's like the only shot you got.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's not the only shot you got, but it's one of the shots you got to make an impression. So
right. So I feel
I'm not selling myself. I'm not selling my events, by the way. I'm just telling you just straight up, like. But that's just how it is. Like on a normal day, they're not going to talk. Like they don't have the capacity to talk to you.
Right,
so
right.
if they're coming to my event, if they drove through traffic to come to my event, you better go too, because that's them saying, hey, come meet me.
Come meet me. They
wouldn't give you the time to meet me.
Yeah, they wouldn't be there if they didn't want that. So So can you just we'll talk about it at the end as well, but like tell people what your events are called and how they can find them, and then I'll talk about some other places I think people could also find some stuff. So
cool. Yeah. So my personal brand is called Erman for obvious reasons. My name's Erman.
Yeah.
And so that's my personal brand. So what I do with this brand, I started doing Zoom events in the last few months because of what happened with the quarantine. So Erman does the industry events, but in addition to that, sometimes we partner up with different nonprofits so that ticket sales go towards nonprofits. Mm-hmm. There's a portion of the ticket sales. It's not always 100%. It's just that, because we got to run the business too.
Yeah.
So a portion goes to different organizations that we're working with for that particular event. Then my other brand, I co-founded with my friend Brandon. It's called the Film Empire. So we do the events, but we also put on screenplay and filmmaking like initiatives. So you get to win mentorship meetings with the people in our lineups.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can find ermantourage.com, and then what was
filmempire.com.
Filmempire.
Filmempire.com.
Filmempire.com. Cool. Other places, if you're watching, I feel like, especially if you're a woman, like Women in Film or any of those kinds of organizations, they often have panels. Are there any other types of panels or like the podcast I mentioned, Script Notes will sometimes have stuff in person. Are there any other places that you can think of?
Yeah, my friends at Shore Scripts have some stuff. Stage 32 is a good platform to check out.
Yeah.
Screencraft, Screencraft is one of the first places I worked for.
Okay.
We did stuff in the early 2013, 2014, I collaborate with them for different things. So they do events too. They put on a lot of contests, so shout out to them.
That's awesome. Because all these...
There's a lot, but I'm like losing...
I know, right? Like you just basically just do a Google search for like, networking events or mixers or stuff like that. But the key here is like, just go to one a month. Like start with that, right? And just go there and try out some of these techniques that we're talking about. If you're nervous about it, because then, you can't get better at something you don't practice at,
Yeah.
right?
You may walk away with knowing nobody in the first one, but the second or third one, you might actually meet somebody.
Yeah, yeah. And take a friend
Yeah.
with you so that you're not alone. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't like to go
Oh,
somewhere alone.
and I don't want to pitch myself, but I do a lot of mixers, but I also do a lot of meetups. So my
Meetups are
meetups are
great.
more intimate.
Yeah.
They're more intimate. So mixers, they can come out. They can be like there can be like 100, 200 people, which is fine,
Hmm.
great. But I prefer the more intimate ones because you actually walk away knowing people's names and faces.
Yeah.
So I put those on too. Um, and what's really cool about them is like if you walk away with a business card or an Instagram, or some type of exchange, that's more memorable than you trying to meet 100 people
Yeah.
in one night,
Yeah.
walking away knowing nobody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's strategy one. Get into doing it in person because that's the most powerful. But the second most powerful, I think, is reaching out on social media and
Yeah.
emails. I saw an interview
Yeah.
that you did.
In an appropriate way, by the way.
Yes.
Make an appropriate.
Yes, yes, yes. So I will give you one example, and then we will have Erman talk about the many better examples. I reached out to an actress because I saw her epic scene. Have you watched the Kaminsky Method on Netflix at all?
A few episodes.
Okay.
I didn't finish it, but go ahead.
Cool. So
I know what you're talking about.
there's like a classroom of actors, and in one of the episodes, one of the actresses gets up and she does this scene with Michael Douglas. Now, Michael Douglas, is that his name? Yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
she was incredible. She was incredible. And I was like, I have to tell her how incredible she is. So I found her on IMDb, and then I followed her on Instagram, and then I sent her a direct message. Her name is also Melissa, which is hilarious. And I just direct messaged her, and I was like, listen, I just want to let you know, I just saw this scene, and it was incredibly powerful, and I just think you are fantastic. Great job. And she wrote me back. Because I was not asking for anything. I was just giving appreciation.
And you weren't being weird, like,
and I wasn't being
hey,
weird.
I'm a filmmaker, please check out my reel.
Right. I would never have done that because, again.
Copy and paste.
Right. So what are some other ways that you think that people could reach out? Do you feel like email's better than DMing? Do you feel like DMing is better than emailing, or is it all good? What are your...
I think it doesn't matter because for me, of course, emails are more professional, whereas DMs over social media is more like, hey, good job. I liked what you did.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I would have, and what you did was fine. What I would have done, even if I was to take an extra step,
Yeah.
was before sliding to the DM, I would have even commented on a post first, so that
sure.
it's planting the seed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So even if they don't reply to your comments, they'll see it,
Yeah.
and it's just planting the seeds. So every now and then comment on a post, and eventually I'd be like, whoa, this is Melissa girl. She's very supportive. So by the time you do DM me, I'd be like, oh, okay. She's a really nice girl. She didn't bother me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll talk to her. I'll respond. So
Yeah.
Twitter is always good. A lot of my speakers I get from Twitter.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
what's funny about Twitter was a lot of writers in writers' rooms, like they all follow each other on Twitter. So if you find one, you find the rest.
Sure.
Yeah. And so
That's a good point.
that's how I connect with a lot of writers on Twitter who are on TV shows. And they all support each other. There's different, like for instance, what's your favorite show? You mentioned Westworld. I think Westworld had like Westworld Writers Room on Twitter, maybe.
I don't know.
So shows like
I like
some
Brooklyn
shows have
Nine-Nine.
like those. Brooklyn Nine-Nine has a Writers Room page on Twitter. So if you go to their page, look up who they
This is like this is like the second time this week that Twitter has been brought. Like I started a Twitter account when it first was around, and I haven't touched it since because Instagram is really where I spend a lot of my time. So I need maybe.
Well, Twitter is a writer's medium.
Yeah.
Like a lot of TV writers will be on there talking shit, like just. Well, see, Twitter is about personality, so funny tweets, and people like it.
So when you approach somebody on Twitter, what kind of stuff do you say? Like if you're trying to get at somebody on a panel that you're scheduling for a couple months from now, and you like know that person's on Twitter and you don't have a relationship with them yet, how would you approach that?
And this is funny you asked me because early on I made this mistake. So with Twitter on your feed, if you were to comment other people's posts, if you go to your wall, you'll see that if you copy and pasted to people's walls, you'll see like, oh, this guy messaged like
18 people,
100 people.
Yeah.
So definitely slow that down, be more methodic, with who you're approaching. So there's a few people where I straight up tweeted on their wall, and then like I would tweet everyone in their writer's room. I was like, oh, that's a big mistake because everyone sees all that. But if they have their DM open, some people will have their DM open, and you don't even gotta follow them. Like some people will leave it open for people who don't even follow them, because Twitter you can DM people if you follow them, but some people like to leave it open for people who are non-followers.
Sure. Okay.
So you can always slide in the DM.
Slide in the DM. Thank you, Lizzo.
Yeah. So, but if they don't have it open, I like kind of. I'm not saying don't approach them at some point, but don't try to. There's a reason why they don't have their DMs open. You know, they're not trying. They don't want to be bothered. So start with at least maybe commenting on something on their post, on their wall, and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, build that relationship. Don't go for it immediately. So for me, when I approach them with my events, I don't come at it as a writer. So sometimes they have responded quickly to my inquiries, you know, because I'm not like, hey, I'm a writer, can you please read my script? It's more so like, hey, I have an event coming up, would you like to be part of it? They respond pretty quickly in the DM. Yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. So figure out what your best approach is, whether it's like softening up the ground through social media and then doing an ask, or some sort of something in email might be good.
Yeah.
But always
ask them, or even on social media, ask them for their email. You know, hey, I'd like to keep this conversation in a more, you know, business way.
Yeah.
Can I email you?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Cool. So in-person networking, online networking, and then I think the third part of this is actually not about networking, but I think it's a little bit about the content that you were putting out, right? Like,
I love it. I love that.
Because if like you looked at Rock Your Reels page to see what we've been up to.
Yeah.
If I had never been up to anything, or if my content was all like funny memes that had nothing to do with what I do, you would,
pictures.
Right? Like cat pictures, you wouldn't look at that and go, oh, this is something I want to be a part of. So half of the battle is like, what are you individually putting out there in the world, from the kind of posts you're making to like, are you writing anything? Are you an actor who's also writing? Are you creating stuff? Are you pairing with people? And how excited are you about that? And how, you know, like what it is you're sending, because they will research you, right? Like
Exactly.
you'll get researched.
Yeah. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because on Instagram specifically, what you'll see when I go to your page is the most recent 9 pictures. Right. So 3 lines. So make sure that your 3 lines, at least something in there, is catching people's attention.
Yeah.
With what you do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So if you're a fitness model, hypothetically speaking, and I go to your page and the first thing I see is those 3 lines, and nothing is you working out or something to do with fitness. It's like, what? Yeah. You know, so if you're an actor, make sure that something in those first 3 lines are something to do with acting. Yeah. You know?
And honestly, a lot of this comes down to a whole other topic of discussion, which is a lot of times artists, whether they're actors, writers, dancers, whatever, they're afraid to be seen. And so they don't tend to put, you know, their own stuff out there, but that's a whole other thing. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes before this is going to kick us off. We have 4 question cards. Let me read through these really quick.
I'm surprised I got any questions.
And let's see. Oh, this is good. All right, but I'm not going to pull up the question card because then it won't let me take it off. But this girl, the girl asked, where do you think the industry is headed after the quarantine? I have some thoughts.
That's a good question.
But I think I'd rather hear from you.
Yeah, I know. And I've gathered some of this through the Zoom events I've been doing, you know? So a lot of people have said they foresee sets being more not secured. Yes, I guess you could say secured. Like when you're back on set, they're gonna test everybody coming on set, make sure that no one's like sick or infected. Which totally makes sense. I get it. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. Now, mind you, I don't know the answer, but it's possible because that's what folks have been saying on my Zoom events. So that's definitely gonna a lot of that's gonna happen. I think people like the whole like Zoom sessions when it comes to like when it comes to casting, you know, meeting people face to face on casting. I've gotten a lot of those responses. So, like I said, I don't know the answer. It's a maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's going to happen.
Yeah. I hope that because of all the Zooming and all the like electronic ways we've been doing stuff, I hope that that kind of continues, because I think it's opened up a lot of opportunities that weren't otherwise available, and not because casting directors and people and producers and stuff don't want to hear from you, but because they literally don't have time, right? Like the amount of work that goes into all this stuff behind the scenes and, you know, is astounding. And it's like, they don't have the mental bandwidth, but right now they do. Yeah. And I hope that this continues. You know, I think that all things electronic and social are going to play a much bigger role now because of all this. And we've all now learned how to do it all. I think that's kind of where it's headed. So I'm hoping that some of the stuff stays. I also hope that we do go back to like large sets with hundreds of people in background and stuff. I hope that that goes back. But I read this article. I don't know if you read this article about like all the measures that big studios are likely going to have to take. Ugh. Yeah. I was like, stuff I didn't even think about. And I was like, oh man.
Are they going to be 6 feet away on set too?
I don't know. Probably at first. But how are you going to do that? Like, you're going to have to rewrite stories. It's going to change everything. All right.
Hey, what are you doing? You're 4 feet away from me. It says 6.
I saw this great TikTok of a woman who, by the way, Erman is on TikTok. Go follow him. His videos are great.
I just started. I have 2 videos, so like them.
I did too. But I saw this great video of this woman on a walk, and she was so tired of people walking too close to her that she carries a 6-foot-long stick, and she's just like holding it out to the side. Like, bitches, try to get closer to me. It's hilarious.
I love that.
Okay. If you could give one piece of advice about networking to people watching now and on the replay, what would be your biggest piece of advice, do you think?
Ooh.
You know, it's hard. That's a hard question.
Can we go back to that one?
Yeah, of course. I'll give one. And I think I think mine would be, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid.
And it's funny because it sounds simple, but it's important because
it's a mind game though, people. Yeah, it's a mind game.
It is. Yeah. It's so simple, but it's important because I'm not gonna know you exist if you don't say hi.
Right. And just say hi. Just say hi and tell him how awesome he is. Comment on a post. Like and comment on a post. Reply back to his Twitter, like his tweet. It's that simple to get your feet wet going. But don't be afraid to reach out. Everybody is just a human being, and we're all just trying to go up in the world and do the stuff. So don't be afraid, because you'll be, I think, surprised at how many yeses and how many conversations you get started.
I'm going to steal this gem from a speaker of mine who spoke last Thursday on Zoom. So shout out to my boy Sebastian Cole, songwriter, singer-songwriter, producer. He said something that blew my mind. He said, if you want to be a star, don't be afraid of heights.
Ooh.
I just leave it at that, folks.
Ooh. Mic drop. Yeah, one of the other guys I've had on a live, DeJuan Johnson, he was like, you can't be a success and a secret at the same time. I know, right?
Fire.
I know. And I was like, DeJuan.
Fire. Play out that flame, girl. That's fire.
So this is just a personal question that I'd love to ask you. Where do you feel like you see yourself going? Like, where do you want to go in the next 5 years? Like, what are you kind of working towards? Sure. Yeah.
So I spent 8 years networking, so I better have some TV shows, some movies out. I've planted the seed to the point where hopefully the next 5 years I'll have some big project out. Mm-hmm. So I'm 30 now. I took my time. So I'm not saying take 8 years.
You're such a baby. It's so sweet.
I'm not saying take 8 years like I did to know people before you start creating content. So this year's a lot of content. Well, it was going to be before us. But when we leave quarantine, I have my directorial debut already set up for a short film, not a feature film, just a short film. Because for me, I still got to learn how to do that stuff. So, of course, so a lot of writing. Like I have my manager is going to put me out for a lot of stuff. So,
that's going great. That's a whole other thing, like how you got your manager. We don't have time to talk about that. Maybe if you guys want to have him back, do some hearts.
Must there be no hearts?
No, there are going to be so many hearts. Oh my gosh. Or I turn the comments back on, say yes and amen if you want him to come back on and talk more about this stuff.
You better. No, Really quick, if I can say 2 seconds.
Of course.
So my manager. So what happened was, my management company that I'm rep by, the people who started it met at my events. They came together and said, "Hey, let's start a company." Full circle, I'm rep by them now.
And they're just killing the game for you, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. See, you guys got to go to his events. See, everybody is like on board. They want to see more of you. They want to hear more about what you have to say. That's awesome. And hey, by the way, if you want, maybe we can have a chat
The black,
sometime.
the blackest marshmallow. That's a funny name. I love that.
You know, I have a roster of directors, and I'm happy to bring you on that roster if you're interested.
You better.
Yeah, like
You better.
I got some well-known actors who are like cutting their teeth learning how to direct on the scenes that we're doing, and they're killing it, and I feel like you would fit right into that, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so one more.
Going back to the question really quick.
Yeah.
So networking, right?
Yeah.
This is not like a one line kind of like gem, but going back to what I did early on, thanks to social media, thanks to the computer, thanks to the internet, like networking can happen from anywhere. Like you can be from somebody in LA and make an impression. I made an impression with people in LA before I moved to LA.
Yeah.
So utilize all the things we talked about early on, but also remember you don't got to be physically in that place with them to make an impression.
Yeah.
Of course, it's better. It makes it easier, but you don't have to be there.
Right. Right now, it's even maybe the perfect time because your only option is to do Zoom meetings, right? So they won't know.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think you have to lie about not living here. I just think be honest with that and be like, it is a move I'm making, but I'm sowing my seeds now. You know.
Plant the seeds, man.
Yeah, plant them.
I lied, and it got me somewhere, but you don't have to. You don't have to.
Sort of. Okay, so one last time, if people want to connect with you, they want to find you, they want to work with you, they want to come to your events, like what's the best way to connect with you and practice?
Yeah, you can find them. I don't
skills?
care.
Yeah.
You can slide on my DMs. I don't care. I read every DM. I answer everybody. I guarantee you. As long as you're not creepy.
Yeah.
Like if
Don't be creepy. Cool.
Or as long as you don't come across as a bot, I will respond to you. I will answer you. So you can. Erman Baradi is my social page. My social pages: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn. I have 3 Facebook pages because I ran out of friends for one of them, so I created 2 more, like backup pages.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you look up Erman Baradi, I'm all there.
Cool.
Just hit me up. Like I'm one of those people who I'm still. You're gonna be like, stop diluting yourself. I'm still on the same level as you guys. So if you DM me, I will answer because I'm not a working TV writer. I'm not a working film writer. You know, I'm not a working actor. You know, I'm not like a big studio actor. So you can DM me. I don't care. I'll answer you.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. It's about to kick us off in 54 seconds. But thank you for coming on here. I really, really appreciate it. You're awesome.
Welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yay! And I will DM you a little bit later with some other stuff. But so give him more hearts. Give him more thumbs up as we wrap this
heart
up.
me.
They heart you, Erman. I keep wanting to say Erman, and that's not how you pronounce your name, man.
Hey, the white kids in the elementary school call me Erman, so.
Then I am just like, well, I'm basically see-through, so, you know, I'm like the whitest.
And you're wearing a white shirt.
Yeah,
What
just says Amore on there. I don't know. All right, friend. Well, we will talk to you later. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. Awesome. He's like, peace.